This is the ANTHBOT Robot Lawn Mower, and right out of the box, I can tell you it looks sleek and modern. The body is a smooth gray with compact lines, not bulky at all. It feels sturdy, but at the same time, it's not too heavy or awkward to carry around. I'd say it has a pretty premium finish for a robot lawn mower. Something you wouldn't mind leaving in your yard because it actually looks good sitting there. When I got this package in the mail, I was honestly a mixture of excited and a bit nervous. I'd never used a robotic lawnmower before and wasn't totally sure how hard it would be to set it up or if it could handle my slightly uneven lawn with a few slopes. The box took a little bit of a beating on the way here, but all the parts inside were safe, so the packaging definitely does its job. Opening up the package, you've got the main unit itself, a docking station for charging, the power supply, a long roll of boundary wire, a ton of pegs, extra blades, and a set of screws for attaching things securely. There's also an instruction booklet, which, trust me, you're going to want to keep handy, especially if it's your first time using something like this. There's even a basic cardboard ruler and wire connectors included, which I actually appreciated since it meant I didn't have to hunt around for extra tools. So my first hands-on experience with the ANTHBOT started with the boundary wire setup. If you're new, like I was, here's the deal. The robot lawnmower uses a boundary wire to figure out the area it should mow. This wire basically tells the robot, hey, don't cross this line. I unrolled the wire and using the stakes provided, set it up around my lawn. The 180-meter wire is plenty for medium-sized yards. ANTHBOT says 900 square meters, but they also recommend for best performance, you stick to about 550. My own yard is right around that. This part does take some time, and I'll admit I questioned if it'd be worth the effort, as I was walking around carrying the wire and hammering in pegs. From my experience, though, once the wire is down and the dock is installed somewhere with decent shade and no flooding risk, the hardest work is over. Programming is mostly on the app, which walks you through each step pretty clearly. I downloaded it to my phone, synced with Bluetooth, and was able to set my cutting times, monitor battery status, and even locate any potential wire breaks. One thing I was apprehensive about was whether a robot could actually trim my lawn well enough to give me a break with yard work, especially since my grass gets patchy and sometimes a bit tall, depending on the weather. The ANTHBOT claims to increase mowing efficiency by 300% with its grid-shaped mowing pattern and real-time positioning technology, compared to the type that just roams around randomly. I didn't know what that meant at first, but it basically means the robot cuts in straight, organized lines instead of zigzags or spirals, so it covers the ground much more efficiently, doesn't miss spots, and isn't just wandering around aimlessly. The cutting width is about 20 centimeters, or close to 8 inches. It sounds a little narrow, but with the way the robot mows, you'd be surprised how quickly it gets the job done. There's automatic height adjustment from around 1.18 to 2.76 inches. If you're not familiar with that, it means you can have your grass cut really close to the ground or left a little longer, depending on your own preference, just by using the app. No bending over or turning dials. Mine was set to the lowest height for the first go, which actually did a neat job of making my grass look trimmed and neat. It also claims to be smart enough to deal with taller or denser patches of lawn by raising the blade deck on its own. The first time I sent it out to mow, I watched nervously. My wires were sticking up a little high in some places, and I was worried it might get snagged or confused in tight spaces. But the collision sensors are pretty sensitive. When the mower bumps into anything, like my foot or a garden hose, it backs up and finds another direction to go in. There's no risk of it ramming into things repeatedly, which is great for safety. It even handled an awkward corner on my lawn without getting stuck. When the battery dropped below 15%, the robot just turned around and headed to its charging dock by itself. There's about 70 minutes of mowing time per charge, although this will depend on how thick or long your grass is. Another feature I found super helpful is the smart boundary wire break detection. Sometimes, small animals or equipment can snap or damage the boundary wire. Instead of having to dig up the whole wire or buy an extra detector, you just bring the mower back to the dock and use the app to check where the break occurred. Repairing is just a matter of reconnecting the wire with the included connectors. This definitely would have made things easier if I had this issue. Since my lawn is on a slight slope, I wanted to see how the robot dealt with uneven ground. The specs say it can handle slopes up to 45%, which is more than enough for most backyards. I can honestly say it didn't have any trouble going up or down the slight hill in my yard. The mower also claims an IPX6 water-resistant rating, Basically, it can handle mowing in light rain or after rain, and cleaning with a hose is no problem. That being said, for best performance, you'll want to set mowing times during dry parts of the day, and you can schedule this from the app. The whole process, from opening the box to having my lawn mowed without much stress, was pretty satisfying. It's really comforting being able to relax or hang out with family while the mower does the job. I just checked the app a few times to monitor the battery or pause mowing if it started to rain. If you're wondering about noise, it's actually really quiet, definitely less noisy than my old gasoline push mower. My neighbors didn't even notice it was running until I pointed it out. From my experience, there are a few little things to note that might make a difference for you. The edges around my lawn still need some trimming with a manual grass trimmer, because the robot leaves about 6 inches from the boundary wire. This is pretty common for robotic mowers, since they can't go right over the boundary wire without losing track. Also, the underside of the mower does tend to collect a bit of grass, and it's a little awkward to clean out. But as long as you rinse it off every now and then, it stays in good shape. For physical handling, it's got a handle but isn't super light, so moving it up or down steps would need a little muscle. I also noticed that if your lawn is full of debris, rocks, or big sticks, it's best to clear that all out to avoid jams or damage. If you have a really complex lawn with little holes or sharp inclines, the mower could get stuck, although I didn't have any trouble on my own pretty typical lawn. I'd recommend this for people who really want to save time on yard work, especially if you've got a small to medium-sized lawn and are interested in making your lawn care as hands-off as possible. It's absolutely perfect for people with busy schedules, families, or those who just don't enjoy pushing a heavy mower in the hot sun. The battery-powered design is another plus. There are no emissions, and you don't need to buy gasoline or oil. In my opinion, the biggest hurdle is definitely the setup, laying the boundary wire and setting up the dock. But once that's done, you basically get to hand off a chore to a little robot and spend your extra time doing literally anything else. The app makes it easy to check on progress, change mowing times, and get notified if there's a problem. The build feels sturdy enough to handle daily lawn duty, and the tech features are actually practical, not just fancy add-ons. In conclusion, the ANTHBOT Robot Lawn Mower delivers on its promise of more free time, less sweat, and a neat, healthy lawn. I'm glad I tried it. I'd say just make sure you follow the directions, use the right setup for your yard size, and do some occasional maintenance. For me, this is one gadget that actually lives up to the hype. If you found this quick review helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your questions or share your own experiences with robotic mowers. Thank you for watching.